players that could fill in for Keenan Pili from a leadership and skill standpoint. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you there's not one. Okay. But I'm going to throw some names at you and get your thoughts on them. So, Cooper, what should people do first?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, Caleb, let me throw this name at you.
Coop here. First down.
Jeremiah Telander.
And you want me to say if he can fill the void left by Keenan Pili?
Who most fills the void?
Oh, yeah, Jeremiah Telander. Yeah, he absolutely is the one who most fills the void. He's the most important player. I know you might. Spoiler, a teaser. Hookers love teases, so but Dave is going. Dave is going to disagree with me on this, but it's Jeremiah Telander.
Okay. Jeremiah Telander will be one we'll vote on, but let me get your thoughts on what would be my selection. Coop, what down?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Arion Carter. I know they don't play the exact same position, but I think it's worth noting that Tennessee, as Coach Josh Heupel yesterday said that he is not 100% sure who's going to wear the helmet communication. If it was just Jeremiah Telander from a leadership standpoint, he would have said it's Telander. But Arion Carter has an incredible football mind, I've been told. But I'm saying I believe Carter has a bigger impact in Pili's absence than Telander.
You think Carter has a bigger impact in Pili's absence than Telander? I think more pressure's on Arion Carter to make a lot of plays, but I think that was there anyway. And I think Arion Carter can't do that unless the middle linebacker spot is held down properly. And that's why I think the pressure is on Telander more than Arion Carter.
All right. What down is it, Coop?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
Okay. Now, this is reaching a little bit because I think it's Telander or Carter, right? I mean, it's one of the two. Okay. So I'm going to say the Vols safeties because Pili was a guy that played incredibly well from tackle to tackle, but also had the speed to get sideline to sideline. So ultimately, that's going to fall on someone just from an X's and O's standpoint. And I think that when Telander is out of position, if that's the case, then I think that would be up to Tennessee safeties to fill the void. And I do think there was a big void there. And if you watch the post-game show, The Last Look brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, you heard this. But I think there was a big void left there when Telander was in the game for a short amount of time. You and I disagree on that a little bit, but your thoughts on Tennessee's safeties. Now, this is purely an X's and O's thing. This is not a leadership. I think Arion Carter's a leader and a great player. But as far as X's and O's, how important is it for the safeties not to bust?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, they gave up a 3rd and 18 touchdown specifically because they busted. And by the way, Andre Turntine had his worst game of his life on Saturday against Florida. And I mean, it's the one reason you can maybe say if Graham Mertz is in the game, Tennessee may lose that game because Andre Turntine was out of position so often. Will Brooks got out of position one time, and it was on that 3rd and 18. Andre Turntine did it all game. And the only thing that saved them, and here's why that's inexcusable, Dave. I thought about this over the weekend coming into the day. You know, when you have really good lockdown corners, you realize that safeties have a lot more leeway to make big plays whenever they want.
Amen. 1998 is a prime example. Who were the superstars of that defense? It was arguably Fred White and Deion Grant. Why? Because Dwayne Goodrich could take away a receiver. He matched up on Peter Warwick in the Fiesta Bowl and absolutely shut him down.
Yes, and if what happened didn't happen, I think Dwayne Goodrich could have been the heir apparent to Deion in Dallas, honestly.
Well, that's what he was drafted to do. I don't know that. Yeah. Deion's a once, I mean, to me, we use this term too much, once in a generational type of talent.
Yes, but
he was drafted to be that guy. He would have, I'll say this. I think Dwayne Goodrich, at the very least, would have been a 3-time All-Pro player. And I'm not talking about Pro Bowl because that basically gets down to Jason Kelsey turned it down 18 times. And, so I'm talking all pro. I think at the very least, Dwayne Goodrich would have been a 2 or 3 time all pro. I think at the top end, he would have been a Hall of Fame player.
1000% agree. I mean, I think he's that good. And by the way, after Dwayne Goodrich in the 2000s, Tennessee had 2 lockdown corners in Rashad Baker and Jabari Greer, right? What did that do? That turned Jabril Wilson into a superstar. So the fact that these safeties, because guess what, guys? Tennessee has lockdown corners again. They have one of the most special cornerbacks in school history in Jermon McCoy, and Ricky Gibson's a very good number 2 cornerback. For Will Brooks and Andre Turrentine to not be able to be big playmakers is a red flag. Now, maybe the pressure's on Boo Carter because Boo Carter's starting to emerge as a player. I mean, that is the most silver lining of silver linings on Saturday's game against Florida that nobody's talking about. Is how
I agree. I agree. And I talked to Fred White, and he said, I shared this quote with you. Dale Carter, Eric Berry comparisons.
Boo Carter, you mean?
Oh, what?
You said Dale Carter. Oh, you mean you're comparing Boo Carter to Dale Carter?
Well, Fred did. I didn't. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you said Dale Carter.
Right. He compared Boo to Dale Carter and Eric Berry.
Oh, okay. Well, he compared him to both of them. Okay.
He didn't say better. He just said that kind of impactful playmaker. My biggest concern with Boo is just his lack of maturity. So I'm going to give you one on 4th down that will surprise you. Okay. But that's what we do. We work hard at our 3:45 a.m. production meeting, 4 downs. And it's all about who replaces Keenan Pili, brought to you by Medicare Misty, licensed in over 40 states. And don't forget this, that there's no charge for services.
19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
Hit like if you believe James Pierce is one heck of a leader. The fact that James Pierce was only used in 10 plays against Chattanooga, when that's a game in which he could ring up 3 sacks and be the college football player of the week and all that stuff, and he doesn't care. And he didn't care. And it was obvious he didn't care after Tennessee beat Florida. So James Pierce is not a rah-rah guy. I don't think he's going to get in anybody's face. But the fact that he's been willing to play the hand that's been dealt to him, which is not a bad hand, and still be engaged, Caleb, is a big, big deal.
I love James Pierce more than I did even before the season started. And you know what the most impressive thing about him is? And you're right, he will be willing to step up. But here's what's so impressive about James Pierce. He hasn't lost his edge at all, despite the fact that he just can't get those stats because teams are running away from him and things like that. You notice he is still playing every single snap with his hair on fire. And
completely agree.
Guys, y'all realize how hard that is to do when you're a defensive end and teams are doing everything they can to neutralize you and you can't get the stats you want? Do you realize how hard psychologically that is to do? Like tackles, it's one thing because nose tackles and defensive tackles, they accept that, right? Their only job is to just win the battle in front of them and knock the offensive lineman back. But like edge rushers are there to rack up stats for themselves, for their, accolades, for their draft stock. And James Pierce isn't doing that, but he's still playing with his hair on fire. I mean, he's becoming very fast one of my favorite players to ever play at Tennessee because of his mentality. I love players like that.